You want to learn the strongest line-to-line knot there ever was. This is the only 100% strength knot for a line-to-line knot on the planet. This thing is the best knot around. It's very tough to tie, but we've got an expert here from Dogfish Tackle who's going to show us how to do this PR bobbin knot. It does require a tool to tie, but it's worth the time, it's worth the energy, and it's worth the extra cost of that tool.
All right, so Dylan, basically this is a really easy knot. It just looks very complicated.
Yeah.
So this is a Shimano bobbin that we use right here. By far the best one that we've ever had that will actually last a long time. And
now the bobbin's all about helping you tie the knot because it spools that line on it, correct?
Yep. So it actually has its own little drag on here. So kind of how Shimano's known for having a really smooth drag, the same thing with this bobbin. They put a nice little drag on here that'll lock down, and that's what's going to provide pressure.
And that drag system is what makes that bobbin unique, correct?
Correct, yeah. So what we'll do here to start this knot is, this would be the line that comes right off of your reel. We're gonna load that right onto the bobbin.
So this is your braid backing going to your mono top shot.
Correct. And what we'll do is we'll put it right here. You'll see there's two pieces of rubber right here that we're gonna take. And we wanna take that line and just kinda pull it right down inside. That gets it, it grips it right there, so that'll let us actually spin the line off of our reel and onto the bobbin itself.
So you're spooling up the bobbin, if you will.
Correct.
And that line is going to be what makes your PR bobbin knot on top of your mono.
And I always do way too much, just so I don't have to worry about the bobbin flying off and hitting you in the face.
That's a good idea.
You put too much or too little on here, what'll end up happening is you're whipping this thing around and it'll come off and hit you right in the face.
You've had that happen a few times,
yeah,
huh?
just a little.
So we've got it loaded up. Now we're going to see how this bad boy works. This knot is really cool and very unique.
So when we put the line on there, what we did was we backed way off the drag. Now in order to get this knot super tight and super small, a lot of people make a mistake and they feel like they have to have that bobbin knot be really long. In all actuality, the tighter it is, the shorter we can make it and still keep the same exact knot strength. So what we'll do is we'll lock this drag down as tight as we can possibly get it.
So loose to load it, tight to tie it.
Yep, that's it. And you can see, like, now I got to really put my hands on there to really pull that off. Got to put some pressure on there to get it off. So what we're going to do now, we'll take this would be our top shot, and we're going from 80-pound Power Pro that's on here, and we're going to be going to 80-pound Andy monofilament line.
So this would be a great thing for big grouper. He's already got his backing in here. Now you're going to be able to have enough room to put another 100 yards of 80-pound monofilament on top of that braid.
So there's a couple different ways that you can start this wrap. A lot of people will take it and just spin this, but I've kind of found for me to get it exactly how I want it, to tie it right and fast, I start off with roughly 10 inches of line, and I'm going to put my thumb and my pointer finger right there and just make one big plus sign right there, right above the bobbin. And I'm going to take, in this finger with my thumb and my pointer finger, I'm going to pinch the braid, and I'm going to take that monofilament and wrap it backwards towards myself, just feeding the braid out of my fingers. So it's just constantly keeping these coils, you can see they're all roughly the same size. I'm just keeping all those the same. So what we'll do here is the knot's not going to be this long, but in order to get that knot tight, when we're spinning this, it's going to want to spin in our hand. So I'm going to have this all nice and wrapped all the way towards the top, so that when I lock my fingers in place, this mono cannot spin in my hand. Because if the mono's spinning in my hand, then it's not going to let this knot tie the right way.
So that was not the knot you're tying, that's simply to set up the knot.
Correct, yep. Because what's going to happen is we're going to start whipping this bobbin away from ourselves. And what's going to happen is this is going to come off of here, and those coils are going to wrap right back nice and tight over top of all those ones that we've already placed there.
Very cool.
So kind of a good way to start it that I like to do is I will take it right here, and I'll make sure I have a good amount around my hand, because we don't want it to spin. That's the knot killer right there, is having that line spin. I get it just enough to where it's nice and tight.
You don't want what line to spin? Your monofilament?
The monofilament.
Okay.
Because the monofilament's going to want to spin no matter what. As hard as we're wrapping this, you'll see it'll start really tightening down on the top of my hand. So what we're gonna do now is I get just enough to really start whipping. So that's all I need is roughly 1/2 inch to 1 inch of line.
Out of the top of the bobbin?
Correct.
Okay.
And an easy way to start this, and as you get used to it, is if you put your pointer finger right here, that's gonna let it not keep backing down. It's gonna make it go over top of itself.
Okay.
So now I'm gonna point my pointer finger on there.
Stop, basically.
Correct. Point my pointer finger to really direct it the direction that I want it to go, and I'm gonna start going.
Oh,
now you can see I've slowed it down, I've stopped it, and it's already starting to go back over top of itself. Nice, tight little coils.
Nice.
And you can see it's already gonna start to wanna really curl up in my hand. So now we're gonna get it right here, and I'm gonna start just rolling. No stopping.
Wow.
It feeds right off. And that's it.
How long do you want to make that?
So previously what we used to do is we would make this knot 3 times that length. But we've kind of figured out the tighter that you can make it, the shorter that you can actually have that knot. And on the inshore scene, what we'll do is we'll actually make that knot less than 1 inch long and still give you the 100% knot strength. So this is as long as what we're going to want to make it right here for our bottom fishing. We don't need to make it any longer than that.
That is a serious knot. And look at the thickness. There is no thickness.
Yeah. All right, so now what we're going to do in order to finish this knot is what we're going to do is you can let this go. If you've done this nice and tight, you can let that go. And as you're letting that go, if you did it good, what you'll do is you'll slide your hands down so you can keep this nice and straight. And if there was a couple twists, it'll get them away from you so it's not going to tangle up inside your knot. So now what we'll do is we're going to let go here, and we're just going to pull this, and you'll see it start to slowly come undone. So what we just had, it's all unwrapped, and you'll see it stopped right there where we finished.
Okay, so that line you had wrapped up to just stop it from spinning, you unwrap now.
Correct, and we don't need that anymore. Now we're going to finish it, and we don't have to have that, so we want to get that away.
And then on the other side of the knot, that line gets twisted up in this side as well, and you just kind of push that twist down towards the bottom.
Yep, you just push that away.
Okay.
So now what we'll do is we're going to back that drag off. And we're going to pull some line off. And that right there, 1.5 foot, that's all we need to finish this knot. And that just gives you a little extra just in case you don't have like real good grip strength. So what we'll do is
bobbin's done.
The actual bobbin itself is done.
So the bobbin is mainly just to get those wraps.
Correct. So now what we're going to do is, if we take it, I'll just kind of switch, and you can see how tight that got on my hand right there. What we're going to do is we're going to take this, our braid, we're going to lay the line that comes off of our reel over top of that extra length of mono that we have right here, and we're going to take our braid and make 1/2 inch. Okay? Now remember which side you started this 1/2 inch on. So this is going to be on the front side of the mono. You do 1/2 inch like here. And we're going to pull that down and lock that in nice and tight. Now the next 1/2 inch, instead of it going the first time we did this, this one's going to actually come on the back side. So we'll take this on the back side, and that's an interlocking 1/2 inch.
Ah, that's what I always screw up.
So now we'll take it right there, do the same thing. Pull both, and you're going to lock that in place. Now we've got both of our 1/2 inches. This ain't going nowhere. This isn't going to go nowhere. What we want to do now is set up just like we were going to do a uni knot. So the same way that you would tie a uni knot, we would start off just like a 1/2 inch, and we're going to wrap this. Now here's a little trade secret. Keep these tight when you're doing it, and stack these coils right next to each other as you're wrapping them through.
So it's just basically a reverse of the uni knot.
Well, yeah, so right now we're doing our regular uni. So we have 5 wraps stacked right there, and what we're going to do is we're going to take our tag end, and we're going to lay it on the top of this knot. Instead of pulling that tag in and leaving that knot all messy, what we're going to do is we made all these coils, and you can see those coils, if you really look at them and focus, all those coils kind of want to go in one direction. So if we take those coils from here and take this actual line and unwrap them going the opposite direction, They will unstack from this side and they'll stack perfect on the front side of our bobbin. So now we're just going to slowly unwrap them and you'll see them coming right off. All gone. Now I'll hold that right there. I'll take my tag and we pull that. And as we get here, you just pull both and you lock them down. So now you can see when we let everything go, it's about as flat as you can possibly get it.
So that gives you kind of a little bit of a hip as you reel that through your guides.
Like a ramp.
That's going to give a ramp, okay. So that makes that knot even smoother through your guides.
Correct. And when you lock that down the right way, it's never going to come undone. Last piece of the puzzle here is some people will cut it as close as they can and just trim it real close. What I like to do is we'll take this and I will cut it, give me 1/4 of an inch in front. And on my tag end, I'm going to do the same exact thing over here with my braid. Give me 1/4 of an inch. So to finish this off, we're going to burn both ends. And so what we don't want to do is screw up and end up burning our nice pretty knot that we just worked hard to get all finished up. So kind of a little secret that I got here is if you take your braid tag, point that straight up, pull your line that comes off of your reel away. Now you'll have that line away. And this is what we got to do. You got to watch out for the air conditioner blowing. But we'll start here. Get right there. Still have a little bit, but that's enough to really push. Now take your line really quick as you're doing it, pull it straight back up, and then round it. So this way your line actually wants to go through that while it's nice and soft.
So it's almost like gel coating your line into that knot. That's pretty intense. So that tag line actually helps to seat that knot even further because you pushed your braid that's going into your reel into that burnt end of that monofilament, huh?
Correct. And so now what we'll do is the same thing here. You know, this knot is super skinny and it will go in and out of your guides 5 billion times, but we want to make sure that it'll go in and out of your guides 5 billion times without ever coming undone. So what we'll do now is the same thing. I'm going to hold this away from me. Get it there. Push on it really hard, and now you're as flat as you can possibly get.
Wow. So you've created a ramp, you've sealed it by burning both sides, and you use that bobbin with a super tight drag to get as tight wraps as you can. Now that knot is 100% strength to either side of that line, correct?
Correct. And we've tested it literally so many times in our store. You know, you get a slow rainy day kind of like today where we're in here filming. We've never broke one of these knots ever. I mean, you're going to break your line up in your braid somewhere. You're going to break it way down in your bobbin, or sorry, in your mono. It's just 100%.
Now, one thing I always had questions about when I tie these bobbin knots is you get that kind of wave in the monofilament, and that's never affected anything. It's something that kind of aesthetically looks like it might be a weak point, but it does not weaken that line.
No, and as a matter of fact, like typically when these will break, it'll always break somewhere up in your braid, and typically if you've been putting that kind of pressure on a fish, it breaks right at your reel, because it's going to always, no matter how tight we get it at the store, no matter how hard we push on this line to put it down in there, it's going to dig down in there at some point if you're putting that much pressure on, and you're going to get it to break somewhere up in your braid. We had a Daiwa Saltus 5000 that gets 66 pounds of drags on the book the other day, 50-pound braid going to 60-pound fluorocarbon. We bottomed out a 60-pound Boca grip with it, and we broke the line 6 inches away from the spool.
Wow.
Bottoming out a 60-pound Boca grip. So
that's intense.
Yeah, you're never going to break that knot.
That is the only 100% strength line-to-line knot around. It's a lot more difficult to tie than most, but if you're here in the shop, if you're at home getting ready for your fishing trip, this is the #1 line-to-line knot. Definitely, if you're going to be shark fishing with heavy tackle, or you're going to be trolling, or you're going to be hog fishing with a long leader, that PR bobbin knot is 100% the way to go and my preferred method. But as you can see from an expert, it still takes a little bit of time, and it's easier to do it here in the shop because messing with that lighter on the boat must be pretty difficult.
Yeah, no, you're usually having to put your head underneath your shirt and put the lighter underneath your shirt and try not to burn your chest. So yeah, it works a little bit better inside the store. It works a little bit better in the store.
Well, I appreciate you showing us that awesome knot.
No problem, thank you.
Now, besides that knot, when you're on the boat, what would you prefer for a line-to-line knot?
FG is the next best thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if that knot is really the same kind of concept as this, just the finishing is a little bit different, and that's why the bobbin's a little bit stronger. But if I couldn't tie this, the FG is the only knot that I would be tying for sure.
Very cool. And for the FG knot, you can look below in the description, and we'll have the link there to show you how to tie an FG knot if you'd like to learn that as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Remember, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too busy. Thanks, Dogfish Tackle.
Thank you. We appreciate you guys stopping in.
Looking back, I was 8 years old, out on the dock with my old zip code, catching them fish till mama called me home.